Good morning, everybody. It is the Reach Podcast Show with myself, LeVar Ellis, and as you guys can see, we are back in season 3. Thank you to Miss SHEBA, Creative AF. We'll explain all that later on, but welcome to the show today. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. So.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah. I'm so excited to be on and to kick off season 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, as we said, we have our special guest today. We're gonna get into her story. Y'all know how we do. We're gonna learn about Miss SHEBA and all the things she has going on and how she is helping just everybody, you know. And so we'll get into that story here in just a little bit. But as we always do, I'd like to just shout out a couple of things, and that's one, Brown Sugar Cafe and Books. This is where we are. So if you haven't been here and you haven't heard about it, you've been living under a rock. So Brown Sugar Cafe and Books is where we are. This is where we're doing our podcasting. And if you're in a space where you're trying to start a podcast or you need a place to do a podcast, you can come and visit us here. I can actually be your engineer, your producer, help you start your show. But we have wonderful spaces. We are actually in the podcast room right now, but we have a lot of different areas around the bookstore that you can come and just do your thing right here in the bookstore. So, you know, come and visit, man. It's just a total vibe over here. You know, and everything that's going on. We're doing some wonderful things. So we want you guys to get a good opportunity to come and see us this weekend. We have the second art show, which is a mental health thing. We're calling it Ice Cream and Art. He's calling it Ice Cream Market, but it's all about mental health. Come out and see some of the great, amazing artists that we have display their works and have the opportunity to look around the bookstore and see some of the things that are going on here. And that is put on by our man Snader, and that's going to be this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3. And then also we have Arthur Michael Black that's going to be here at the store. So we want you guys to just come and take a look and get familiar with the store. And big shouts out to our proprietress, our owner, our sister, Ms. Raven, and for all the wonderful things that she's doing. We definitely want you guys to come and just tell her how you feel about the bookstore and how it makes you feel. And so definitely want to put our sis up on the screen. So big shouts out to her for the dream that she's made come true. Look, that looks like she's right here in the studio with us, right? Yeah. Photoshopped in. But no, big shouts out to our sis Raven and the amazing thing that's going over here at the bookstore. And things are coming to life, man. And so we appreciate you guys for all the support that you have been given. And if you're somebody who's still looking to make it over here, we're waiting for you, you know. And you can catch us pretty much every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, and then Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6. So check us out. You can't miss us. It's 7 days a week, and you can come and check us out. So next thing I like to do also is for the guys who've been following me and my team. Unfortunately, guys, the Mind Matters podcast show this evening will not be happening because that wonderful lady right there in the middle, Dr. P, she is at a conference. And so she's doing her wonderful things. As you guys know, we call her Ty Love because she is a wonderful, wonderful author of over, I'll say close to 40 books right now. Literally, I think at 37 published books right now. So she's at a conference and she's out in Atlanta. So safe travels to you, sister. Hope you're enjoying yourself out there. We can't wait for you to get back. You can come back next week and check us out. We'll be here. As you know, we've moved our show to Brown Sugar Books and Cafe. Every Thursday, you can catch us streaming from 7 o'clock. It used to be 6:30. It is now 7 o'clock until 9. And this week, you definitely want to come out because we have a surprise. There's some wonderful things going on. And like I said, you can catch us streaming every Thursday in the same places, 7 o'clock on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So, or you can come to the store and be part of our live studio and participate in our toast. And that's where we get our sip on a little bit and understand and help people understand how having a little alcohol is not that bad, and really we're not alcohol, it's wine, and it can help the soul, right? What would you say about that? People that are talking about you shouldn't be drinking and things like that, in moderation, I think it's okay.
Well, here's what I have to say about alcohol, period. I think it can become a problem.
Right.
I think we know that. But having a glass of wine or a drink every now and again is not an issue until you make an issue, and it becomes your crutch or your coping tool.
Absolutely.
For things that you're not dealing with on your own mental health.
Yes. So. And she even I was going to ask that question. You hit it head on, because that's exactly what we're trying to do, and the approach we're trying to take is let people know we're on the show talking about mental health, and we're giving a toast and drinking wine and encouraging people to do that, because you don't have to use it as a crutch. That's the thing. You can celebrate yourself. You can celebrate things. You can have a glass of wine and you can do it responsibly. So that's the whole point behind the toast segment. So come out and check us out. Not tonight, next week. We'll be back next week, and looking forward to everybody being a part of the show and being part of everything that we have going on. But we want you guys to know that when you come into the bookstore, there's a lot of wonderful things going on. We have a lot of Black-owned business right here in the store. So tell us about this drink you got and the name of it again, because I know you told Instagram before we went live, but we got to shout out to our baristas down there and all of that. So tell them about that drink you got.
Okay, so this is the Honeydew Frappe, which is why I chose that song that we started with. It's really good. It's a caffeinated honeydew mix and with cream.
Tastes good.
It tastes really good.
That is what's up. So again, guys, get out here to Brown Sugar Cafe and Books. Man, I'm screaming them out so much because I'm a huge part of the store. Love everything that's going on here, and we want everybody to know and be able to at least say they've been by the bookstore at least one time. You got to come and see it. Checking in, following us on Facebook, that's not enough. And I can't even make an excuse for people out of town, because y'all don't understand there are so many people that travel from all areas and all places throughout the world at this point. We've had people come in from far, far, far away. So if you're on the other side of town and you're in Houston, no excuse.
Really, the girls downstairs that I just met are from Maryland.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Wow. Because and Raven, if you're watching this, man, we had a whole group of girls get out the car. I was like, man, they was ready. They was all dressed up, taking pictures and everything. And come to find out they're from Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the authors who has a book here, she was with the group. She brought her friends here.
Okay.
To check out the store.
Yeah. And she was taking pictures. So definitely appreciate anybody who's been here and those who are wanting to come. And no doubt, if you can't make it, we understand. So we appreciate all the well wishes as well. So just peace to everybody on that part. But it is now time to get into the story of this wonderful, wonderful lady we got right here. And we want you guys to know that everybody's story is important, right? And that's kind of how I'm going to sum up this whole thing. And got to put this picture back up. I just love the photography you got going on right here. And so it's none other than Miss SHEBA. We're going to get into what she has going and all the things that she has coming up or going on or she wants us to know about. So I just want to say thank you for being here. And I appreciate, everything that you're doing. And shout out to my man, Bruce. I got to do that. Bruce hooked us up. I appreciate the connection, man. And we just going to make it do what it do. But Miss SHEBA, are we giving another name? Are we introducing you that way? Or how are we doing it?
I think it's so funny that people say Miss SHEBA.
Okay.
Because my name's Michelle Roy, but my name is also SHEBA.
Yeah.
So when people say Miss SHEBA, I'm like, you hit it on the nail. So if you want me to talk about my name,
it's up to you. This is, like I told you, it's your platform. And so first thing I like to get is for everybody to kind of get to know who you are. Okay. Just as a person before SHEBA, before creative is, AF and all those things. Yeah. And just, who is Michelle Roy? We'll start with that.
So I was born here in Houston at Harmon Hospital.
Okay.
May the 4th, 1984. And I moved to Kansas and then back to Texas, moved to Tomball.
Now, hold on. Kansas?
Yeah.
What made you leave Texas to go to Kansas?
Well, my parents.
Okay.
My daddy had a job in North Dakota, but the company was stationed in Kansas.
This is younger years.
Yeah, I was 3 years old.
Gotcha.
So we moved to Kansas, and a lot happened there, like traumatizing stuff, you know, like molestation and just things I had repressed. Really. Right. So moved back to Texas. I'm 6 years old. I'm starting school. I hate it because I can't be myself. I can't do cartwheels. I can't spin around. You can't sing. You know, you just can't play. That's not what school is about. So that becomes another layer of trauma, right? So years go on. I'm 16. My dad gets cancer. He dies. That's traumatizing, of course.
Yeah.
And I just started living reckless. You know, kind of like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have no faith. Because why would I have a hard life if God was
real?
You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started using alcohol as my crutch, my coping tool. I would drink a bottle of whiskey every day.
Wow.
I would go to work. I would come home, and before I got to my house, I would stop and get my best friend a bottle of whiskey, and I would just sit and drink. And it was just like too much, you know. I mean, who can live like that? So finally, and this is a turning point in my life. My coworker, because I was working at a hospital in the medical center, a major hospital. I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
And it was so stressful. I had a really important position in my department. I was a corporate buyer. I was buying capital equipment. I was really spending like billions of dollars.
Wow.
And my coworker, that was my work partner in the office, just like me sitting here every day, she suddenly died from a heart attack. And it was like, I know it was stress related. And I know we were both really, really stressed out. And I just said that day, I was like, they're not going to kill me. Because I felt like that's what kind of had happened. She'd been working there for like 15 years.
Wow.
So I started trying to change and trying to get out of there because I'd already been podcasting and doing the media thing. And I was like, I know this is supposed to be successful, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. And I sat in my garage one day and I just prayed. And I was like, what is my purpose? What did I come here for? Because I know it's not to work for these people who die.
Yeah.
And I just started getting all these messages and downloads about, you know, helping Black people and helping my community and healing and all this stuff that I wasn't really doing, you know?
Yeah.
So I was so confused and overwhelmed by it because I was like, why would you tell it to me?
I want to, not to interrupt you, right? But when I hear things and it speaks to me, I know it's everything you're saying is speaking to somebody, right?
Yeah.
But you just said something, and it was a real smart word, but it's in my journey and getting, you know, familiar with myself and understanding some of the things that you go through and understanding the energy we create. But you just said, you know, you were sitting in your garage and you started thinking and you started getting these downloads. And so when you said that, it's funny because I had a friend of mine who introduced me to the term in a different way. But when you say that, can you explain more about you receiving downloads, what that means?
So that just means you're getting the answer to your prayer. That just means that you ask and you receive. But see, a lot of time what people do is they're looking for the answer to their prayer in a specific way, or they're looking for the response that comes in a burning bush.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the way it happens.
Yeah.
It could be honeydew. It could be, maybe you need a new banner. You know, it could be something like that. Like if you're saying, how am I going to share my message more? Or how can I market my business? And then you see this, oh yeah, maybe I should do that.
Yeah.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. And it's being aware and being present.
Right.
That's another thing, you know. And I was just talking about this last night. It's like the way I would describe it is removing yourself, you know, because like you said, a lot of people would look for things in a certain way. And I was definitely one of those folks. Like, you know, it had to make sense. It had to look like this, had to look like that. But a lot of times when you're seeking answers and you're talking to God, He's going to speak to you in a whole bunch of different ways. And that discernment is what's important for you to be able to pick up on looking at this banner, and it might be this symbol that speaks to you in some type of way, you know, but you have to be present in that moment to actually get those downloads. So I appreciate you, you know, just expanding on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And really paying attention to your prayers.
Right.
So like when you're just like, I mean, and I call it like what I do, creating on purpose. So I have an active relationship with my creator and we're back and forth with it.
Yeah.
But if you're just walking through each day, like, it would be nice to have this, you'll miss it when it goes by. But you did.
You got it 1,000 times.
Yes, and you're not paying attention to it. So yeah.
But finish. I'm sorry. I just wanted to touch on that. You were talking about
why would
sitting in your garage.
Why would they give it to me? So of course I was overwhelmed by it because I was like, I don't know what people would think I would have to do because I haven't really done that.
Yeah.
So I just went and made a website, Creative AF. I don't know if you know where that came from. It was just like, here, take it.
Download.
Yeah. So it was like mscreativeaf.com. I was out there and I was like, hey, I'm about to help y'all and you can do this and we can do this. But like, I wasn't me yet. So of course she was like struggling.
Okay.
Because she didn't have the tools that I have now.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people, and I explain it like this to people, it's like they want to be right here, right? But you're right here. And this is where you're supposed to be. Because when you get up here, you got a lot of things that you're going to learn up the ladder. So just be okay with being right here, because if you try to do the work already, it's going to fall over because you don't have the foundation.
Yeah.
So the last 3 years has been about me building the foundation for this from that moment where I got the information that said, you are to do this work.
Gotcha. And would you say that, because I always ask people, what was the aha moment? Would you say that your aha moment in becoming Miss Creative AF was when your friend passed away that you were working with? What would you say is that moment that you were like, okay, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, it was definitely that. I had already kind of started a spiritual journey because I wanted to feel better. You know, I had been drinking a lot. I felt like I didn't have enough money. I was kind of miserable, not kind of miserable, very miserable, to be honest. You know, I had 2 kids, single mom, kind of having tough relationships with men, and I was just wanting to feel better. I wanted my life to be better.
Yeah.
So I had kind of already started a spiritual journey, and then she died, and it was like, why again did you take somebody from me? I just started to trust you again. I just started to believe in you again, and then boom, again.
Yeah.
So it forced me to heal that relationship with God that had been damaged when my dad passed away. But it also taught me that I needed to really have a relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know who I was.
Right.
So when they're telling me, hey, this is your work and this is who you are, I'm like, well, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what
you feel like that ain't what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Because why would I leave?
Yeah.
You know, like drunk, single mom struggling. Like, why would I be it? But the truth is that
why not you?
Why not me? And it's because of all those things. Because I have a message to share. I can help so many people through grief. So many people who are using drugs and alcohol to cope with life. Because it does hurt sometimes to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I was very suicidal.
And it's okay to not be okay. Before we get into that part, it's okay to not be okay. That's one of the things. And, you know, I wanted to go back to the email. And I know you're like me. So you were talking about some of the things you wanted to talk about. And a couple of them, we'll get to the women and all of that stuff. But another thing is what we're talking about now. And it's how you got to own like where you're at in this journey. So the question I would have for you before we get more in depth into it is, what do you think you learned? Like, I know you said you had to be able to accept what God is trying to put on you. You had to rebuild your relationship. But outside of those things, what do you think you learned from the losses that you experienced from being alcoholic, as you stated? What do you think is the brighter side of you going through those things that you've learned? And this part is to help somebody, because there's somebody going through what you're going through, either in a worse way or in a way that's not so bad, but they feel like it is. So what would you say is something that you got from that part?
I don't even know if I say this is the biggest thing. This is just the first thing that's coming to mind. You ask, but you can't run from your pain. You can't run from your truth, and you can't run from who you are.
Yes.
So like, there's acceptance in where you're at.
Yeah.
I drink too much. I be doing drugs. I be yelling at my kids, whatever, those are some of my things or whatever. But whatever they are, you have to first say, I'm doing this thing. And then you have to say, I'm doing it because I am hurting.
Yes.
And I'm suffering, and I'm refusing to go to therapy, or I'm refusing to do self-healing. Because I don't want to look at the stuff that's in there.
Yes.
And it is ugly, and it is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much power in going into that dark place.
Yeah.
Because there are diamonds in there.
Yeah.
Like, what I found in the dark is what I use to illuminate myself.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, oh, you're glowing. Yes, because I'm not afraid of my shadow.
Yeah.
Like, me and my shadow, we homegirl.
Yeah.
I allow her space to create and live. Because what happens is, when we're young, people start telling us we're bad for the things that we feel naturally inclined to do. Just like I was telling you when I went to kindergarten, I was like, so you telling me I can't dance and cartwheel and I'm a bad girl because I'm not quiet?
Yeah.
I came to talk.
Yeah.
That's what I came here for.
Yeah.
But I was turning my voice down, and not only was I turning it down, I started to be really full of toxic poison because I hated to be here because I felt like I was inherently wrong.
Yeah.
So when I was able to accept all of those things and the reason why I was using alcohol as a crutch, I could say, I don't need that. Mm-hmm. I can become addicted to something else. So when I say I want to be addicted, I want to be addicted to the divine. Mm-hmm. I want to be addicted to my purpose and my mission and what it is to be in my body.
Yeah.
You know, because you can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We feel like we have to have something that we're like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that.
Mm-hmm. And man, we're gonna come back to that. But with you saying that, talking about kindergarten and not being able to do the cartwheel and stuff like that, I want to say I applaud you because every now and then I get to see your videos on TikTok or Instagram, and you just dancing with your shades on, you and your daughter, and that's something that kids need. And so I wanted to just put up your social media following so everybody could follow you and see some of the craziness that you do, and what would you say I know you're doing it for a bunch of different reasons. Do you feel like it's helping you more or helping your daughter more or just the both of you guys? Because you're just free when you get into that space, and I can appreciate that.
So I think it does both.
Mm.
And my kids always ask me, well, which one of us is your favorite kid? And I would say me.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about being on a spiritual journey or even a growth journey, what you're really talking about is going to your inner child, getting it, and reparenting it.
Yeah.
So that's why I allow myself to do dancing, sunglasses, painting, cartwheels, singing, whatever I like to do, because I didn't get the chance to do that. I'm grown now.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that I felt restricted in, I don't have to have those restrictions.
Right.
And I had this, and I don't know if anybody out there has, practiced or done hypnotherapy, but I have a therapist that also does hypnotherapy. In one of my sessions last year, we did this session where I did like a higher self journey or whatever. Because I was really trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they told me I'm supposed to be Miss Creative.
Yeah.
I'm trying, I'm showing up, but it just doesn't feel right yet.
Yeah.
Like, so what is the thing that
when they don't own it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kept wondering. So I was like, let me do this higher self journey. And I was so mad because when I got into the hypnosis and I went to go talk to my higher self, it was like, gotta dance. And I was like, I'm not doing jazz dance, and I'm not doing anything crazy on Instagram. But when I started doing that, people were like, you really made my day.
Yes.
Really
Isn't it amazing the things that we think we shouldn't do? Mm-hmm. Is going to look silly. Like, this is what people are attracted to.
Yeah.
And when we feel like, man, that's lame or that ain't going to work, people gravitate to that. Exactly. Because we all have that kiddie moment in our lives. We all have that moment where we just want to just breathe, and get away from the day's work and the day's stress and the day's issues and the effects of being an adult, you know. And so I tell my kids all the time, like, don't rush to be an adult, man, because it's going to take you some places you don't really want to go, and you're going to have to face that. And once you're there, you can't run from that either. Mm-hmm. You just have to step up. Yeah, you gotta handle it. But I think that's really dope that you were able to recognize that. It's a huge thing, and people love seeing you doing it. And are you feeling a certain way when you're doing it? What feelings do you get?
Usually it's just whenever I'm feeling good, because I'll do it by myself.
Yeah.
Like I'll dance maybe for like 20-30 minutes.
That's what's up.
And then I will show y'all when I'm at my highest vibration, kind of in the zone.
Yeah.
Because it takes me a while to get there, and I started doing that That and the morning vibe, which is like, I'll get up and play music until I hit top tier.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel good. So I remember I was trying to change my life, and I was trying to change my vibration, or my mindset was from negative to positive, which for me is kind of the same thing. So I feel like once you change your mindset, you change your energy.
Absolutely.
And I was listening to personal development, like Abraham Hicks and stuff, and I was getting so angry because she kept saying, "Oh, joy is the key," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "What does this lady know about my experience and how it hurts to be here? Like, I don't feel good, so how can I do this?" So it came to me, well, think about the thing that does make you feel good. And it was music. So I was like, okay, well, I can use that to trick myself into feeling good. Because, she would be like, just make sure that you feel good at least once a day.
Yeah.
And so, like, I started using music. And even now, like, if things are tough or if I'm having a long day, I will make sure I put on music.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad would always wear headphones. And I thought it was so weird because the girls would just like,
you don't want to hear nothing else but that music.
Yeah, but I know why now, because me being a sensitive like him, I didn't understand that he needed it to keep his balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when I keep my headphones at work, they would be like, okay, Radio Raheem. And I'm like, do you want me to throw food? That's what I did. I didn't even get to that part. I think I skipped over it, actually.
Yeah.
But after my friend died, I was working by myself without bereavement, without break. I was stressed because I was doing my job and her job. And one day, I was like,
just lost.
I did. And it was right that weekend after Nipsey Hussle was killed. And I had another download that was like, you got to build a community center. And I was like, I'm not doing nothing else under these directions without actual instruction.
Right.
Because, I didn't know. But I went back to work, and I was like, I got to have a laptop, and I got to work at home. And they were like, well, why would we do that? And I was like, it's too much for me to be in here. There's too many people in here. They're asking me for too much stuff. And we were having a retirement party, and I just went into the office, and my new work partner, she had like a candy jar, and when I saw her putting it there, I said, that's going to be a problem. Because people.
Yeah.
And I just remember somebody was in there, and then I got an email, and these two ladies were kind of going back and forth about me, but not to me. And then one of them was like, she was like, check this email out. And I just got up and threw my plate, and I was just cussing, and I was like, quit, I can't stand y'all, I hate y'all, I would never do that. And they were calling me, begging me not to quit. And I said, this is indicative of you guys misusing me and abusing me. Because somebody do that in my office, they're fired.
Yeah.
You're begging me not to quit.
Not to quit, yeah. So, and it's man, there's a bunch of people that have been through that. And that's the thing. And this is why I'm kind of dragging this part out. And I appreciate you being open and vulnerable about that, because that's why I call it the Reach podcast show. Try to reach people and try to get people to open up, because there's people looking at home. There's people probably going to watch it next week, next year, whatever the case may be. And that message is going to always be there for them to understand that it's okay not to be okay. And something else you're speaking to before we transition is with the Mind Matters podcast show again. We're in a segment in a series right now we're calling Getting Back to Happy.
Okay, yeah.
And so this is what you're doing by putting on your headphones and listening to the music and remembering your dad and remembering what makes you happy. Or, like you said, tricking yourself into being happy. And it's not so much that, but that is a good way to reference it.
It's a good starting point, because that throwing food incident is the one that was like, okay, so here's how you fix it. Because remember, I was already trying to be happy. Here's how you fix it. Learn to manage your emotions. Become the type of person where when things are off balance, you're not.
Yeah, you know what to do.
Yeah, so that was when I started my study of emotional intelligence and just really getting to the point where I was going through each of my triggers, because what I do is called trigger tracking. So I wrote this guide, which I can give you guys, or I'll put the link in.
We'll have to have you on the Mind Matters podcast show too. David, Dr. P, she coming sometime soon.
And I'm sorry if I'm rambling.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I wrote this guide on tracking your triggers, because that's how you can do really excellent shadow work. So, like, let's say I came in here and nobody was here to receive me, and I was getting triggered by that, and I was like, well, where is he at? Well, that would be a moment for me to go look at why that bothers me, because that doesn't have to bother me. You know what I mean? So it could be, I don't feel seen. I don't feel like people pay attention to me. I feel neglected. All of those things can be traced back to a moment in your childhood or in your history where you felt unseen, or you felt not heard and neglected.
Now, where can we get this guide, ma'am?
You can actually get it on my Instagram inside the bio link you can go right to Canva and read it. Just put a link in there.
Gotcha.
But I can drop it too in the comments of the video afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's so important. So I think we've given more than enough background, right?
Okay.
But I love it and I appreciate it again. But so kind of going back to the aha moment, well, I know you already said you don't know where the creative AF came from, but
I just knew I was creative.
Right.
And I knew I was creative AF. And at that time, AF was really, really trendy. And it was just like creative AF.
Yeah. And that means creative and favorite. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
But no.
AF.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody else who is familiar with the shorthand, y'all know what that means. Yeah. And I think that's dope. So tell us about this company and your consulting and, what can people look from you, or if they don't know about what even consulting is, what do you provide for them?
Okay, so I have two arms of Creative AF, but on this one specifically, it is spiritual guidance and confidence coaching. So I'm a coach. I have a coaching program that I take you to in order to bring you from, I have something I want to say, but I'm afraid people will judge me, to the Reach Podcast show.
Yeah.
Talking about it, and then also I do guidance, astrology, I'll do cards, and just speaking to help people. So they can book sessions, or if they're interested in the full program, we can do that too.
Gotcha.
I'll be putting together a few workshops, one specifically on camera confidence, because we live in an age where people need to get on video. So many people feel like I said, I have something to say, but they have a whole Instagram, and every time they get ready to go live, they turn it off because they're not confident.
Yes.
But in order to be found, you must be seen. So whatever you're selling, we won't know you're selling it until you show up and talk to us.
Yeah.
So if you need help doing that, there are people like me who will guide you through the process of facing your fears and talking yourself into it instead of talking yourself out of it. Because there's a voice in your head that's telling you, stop. They're going to judge you, and they might. But nobody is judging you harder than you're judging yourself.
Absolutely. And that is the truth. It's funny you say that, because I had this thing where I was going to be going live and I'd be talking, right? And I found it to be crazy to me. Like, why am I sit here in front of this camera just talking to this camera? You know what? Who does that, right? But everybody does that now. And that's something that I'm noticing, like the confidence that it takes just to keep that camera going, right? Everybody can press record, but to keep that thing recorded and to keep it going and to talk freely. I think that's a huge part of it. Is people are always worrying about what content they're going to have. If you have the ability to get in front of the camera and just speak, that's the key right there, you know. And then if you're selling something, being able to talk about what it is that you're selling or what you're able to provide, because there's still times, as much as I do, this is season 3 of the Reach Podcast show. You know, we're in season 2 of the Mind Matters. I public speak all the time. I'm talking to kids about being able to public speak. But if I was to go home after the show today and like, you know what, I'm going to turn on the camera, I'm going to just talk to the people, I'll probably be like, I got something else to do, you know? And it's crazy. Like, you'll just talk yourself out of it. But I think that's important. And that's something that's coming, guys. I'm going to start getting in front of the camera, because there's so much that happens in the day that is unseen. And I have a love-hate relationship with that, right? Because part of me feels like, man, if you're doing stuff in the community or you're doing this and that for people, you don't need to sell it. You don't need to do this and do that. But then the other side of it is the world we live in today. People need to see it. And the Reach Podcast show, people need to hear about it. They need to hear your story, you know, in the pictures, in the videos. Like, it's important, but to me, it's like it ain't important. It's just it's a struggle.
Well, you hit on a really important point earlier when we were talking about me dancing and kind of doing my thing, and even just, I guess, putting myself out there. You don't really have to jump on and sell anything, but yourself.
Yep.
So bringing yourself out there, you don't necessarily have to talk about your actual product, because what people don't realize, because that's the other arm of my business, is the marketing brand strategy. And what people don't really realize is, like, I could buy the same similar product somewhere else.
Right.
But if I buy it from you, it's because I like you.
Yeah. What sets you aside?
Yeah, you resonate with me. It's your personality. It's what you bring to the world that makes me say, I like that T-shirt better than this one that probably says the same thing on it. You know. So So it's not necessarily coming with your points, because a lot of people over prepare. Just bring your knowledge.
Yeah.
Like if you're living it, if you're really living what you say you're doing, then you shouldn't have a problem just jumping on and talking.
Yeah.
So it's getting to the point where you feel like, okay, am I really living this? Because you might be bringing a representative, because we live in a society that we feel like we have to bring a fake personality to.
Yes.
You don't.
Yes.
And people will connect with your truth.
Yeah.
Which is probably a little bit more wild than what you present.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And you may lose some people, but those people are also not living their truth.
And that's the thing. Everybody's not meant to stay with you or be with you through all the phases or different phases of your journey. That's another thing. Right. But before we get too far off on it, you were talking about T-shirts. Tell us about this T-shirt you got on today.
So I bought this at, I think, Walmart, and it says "Do everything with love," and it really resonated with me because love is my brand.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, I wear my heart sunglasses all the time. I have a sign that says "Love" in my room where I dance.
Yeah.
Like, to me, Jesus is love, first of all. So, you know, everybody, I'm not necessarily a Christian, but I do believe that. Mm-hmm. And that resonates with me and aligns with me. And I feel like if I'm operating at the vibration of love, that means that I'm not intentionally harming others, and I'm enjoying my life. Yeah. Because I feel good, because I am loved. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You're trying to bring love to everybody else, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I had to learn, though, because I didn't love myself at all. I actually was really practicing self-hatred. But sometimes it is going to hurt other people when you love you. Yeah. Because that means that you're going to choose yourself sometimes over them, and that has to be okay. Mm-hmm. And that's a hurdle that I see a lot of my clients have to overcome, because we're born people pleasers. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to fit in. We want folks to like us, and we're choosing other people. But the thing is that, like, okay, if it's you and them, and they're choosing them, and you're choosing them, who's choosing you? Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. So you have to be able to choose yourself, and that really comes from self-love. Yeah. Because if you see yourself as somebody who deserves love and should be treated with respect, you will also treat yourself that way.
Absolutely. And you couldn't have said it better. And, you know, your journey is so amazing. I know there's so much more to it. But it's just really dope to be able to have somebody to get up here and speak so freely. And you're so far ahead right now from what I know, you know, because we're just getting to know each other. There are people who can talk like you're talking, right? But you can see the emotion still. That you see, like, it take them a second. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what gives you the ability to not even have that emotional moment while you're talking about these things that you've been through? What would you say about that? Even if it's something that you practice or whatever, but just what's keeping you from being even emotional in this moment?
I think when I am talking, I can feel my emotional energy, because I believe my energetic body, which is unseen, is also my emotional body. Mm-hmm. So when I feel my body kind of getting into that space where it's like, okay, I'm emotional, I know that what I'm about to say is going to resonate with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I need to be able to get it out. Gotcha. You know? Gotcha. And I've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this. Like, I have so many videos. I have 180 videos people haven't even seen. Wow. And when I sat and talked basically to myself, and I would post it, I had 2 girls in this group, and they would watch it every day. Wow. And both of them grew a lot from watching me. But, like, you have to practice being able to tell your story without that. So, like you said, it is practice. But also knowing that what you're about to say could really be the catalyst for a life change for somebody else. Right. And that's why we're doing this. Yeah. Because we are of service. Yeah. Like, I think, you know, the other night at the show, they were asking, you know, what is purpose? For me, it is to express God. That is it. You know?
Shout out to our girl, Miss Thais and Miss Manuela, the Fights Within. We had, was it Tuesday night?
I think it was Monday.
Monday night, yes. Monday night is, and then shouts out to Quotes over at Willowbrook. Yeah. For their first live podcast, man, it was an amazing time. You were a special guest in the audience. I appreciate you coming out. And that's what you were speaking on. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to them, and look forward to the next show. What did they say? August?
I think
November. I'm sorry, November. But just keep up with us on that, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah. But that stuck out to me, because I was like, oh, I wish I could answer that question, because I feel like that's what it is. Mm-hmm. You're expressing God, and so that means that your experience, whether it was good or bad, is your opportunity to share that message and then change a life.
Yes.
Perform a miracle, if you will, for another individual through telling your story. And that's why I think it's important for people who do have deep stories and traumatizing experiences to know that it's power to speak and to change others. Maybe you won't speak vocally, but writing, painting, even clay, like your art is a story.
Yes.
So however you want to produce, that's being creative.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. So, man, you just giving me so many thoughts, right? So what I want to talk about too is going back to the story, and the part that I don't want people to miss is in the growth, and you're also reestablishing a relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? And from having all these losses and trying to build a relationship, then you have another loss, and then you start questioning again. I don't want people to forget that part, because a lot of things that we do, like we were talking about on Monday, people take the credit for it. You know, we take the credit, And I thought that was a good topic and a good point. But at the same time, God gives us these things. So it's okay to say it's us.
Yeah.
But as long as we understand, or at least we go back to, like people say, first of all, giving honor to God. You know, we definitely know where the ability and where the mental capacity comes from. But when you're claiming things, it's okay to own it, you know, and that's how I feel about it. So it's okay to own it as long as you're a person that is transparent and people can see that, you know, you give credit to God.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, in the beginning of my journey, I was like probably one of those people who was like, wow, I'm really powerful. Wow, I'm really powerful. But that's probably why also it took me so long to get here to this moment where I know I'm co-creating with the divine.
Yeah.
Every time that something takes place, I say thank you, because I remember what it was like when I wasn't getting what it was that I was asking for. But I know how I was operating. I know what my thoughts were, and I knew where I was.
Yeah.
So like that's your work.
And the ultimate level of presence and being present, I think you have that. That is amazing. Yeah, right.
I mean, and I'm transparent about that. Like, it took me a long time.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that your work is for you to first get out of God's way. Like, stop going to pray or saying you're going to manifest, however you say it, however you prefer, and then staying in the way by saying, yeah, but it's supposed to come that way. It's supposed to do this, because all groups do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you call yourself. You be in God's way.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Instead of being just a vessel as He intends you to be.
Okay, because the message is going to say, I want you to go over here to this bookstore. You're going to meet somebody up here. Go up there. And instead of just going, you're like, I don't know.
I go next week, next month.
Yeah, and then what did we say earlier? The opportunity is missing, and then you're going, God never answers me. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Part of the work is being obedient and moving, listening to your intuition, not being afraid of that voice and saying,
yep.
You know,
understanding the discernment behind all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then also watching how you feel. So many people who are like, I'm going to manifest. You're not going to. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you need to fix your vibration. If you feel like life sucks, it hurts for you, and you never get what you want, you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah.
So you have to work on you. It's personal development. And a lot of people are like, that's hogwash. It's ridiculous. Every successful person you see on television, in books, and in movies works on themselves and operates in a personal development space, because they know in order for them to carry what it is that they're asking for, you have to be the best you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you've done the work too. That's another thing, in case people are just chiming in. We're with Miss SHEBA, Creative AF. And if you've been listening for the last couple of minutes, you'll be like, well, what makes her so professional to be able to talk about this? You're looking at a person who has went through everything she's talking about. So the personal journey, check, you qualify for that. And you've also talked very briefly on some of the studies. You know, you've written the manual. So she's done the work. She's done the research. And here's another thing. And I was talking about this yesterday with God. We preach school. We preach education. We preach going to college. That might not always be the way. You know, it might not be what gets you to that next level. I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about a 20-year-old kid who has a massive construction company right now. I can't remember who. If you're watching, man, comment. But a young kid has a construction company. He did not go to college. And so he was at the table and he had some white guys, you know, and they were like, man, so what school did you go to? How are you here, you know, at such a young age? And he was like, man, I ain't going to no school, you know. God gave me this download. I was blah, blah, blah. And so he moved in that moment. He dropped out of school because he was committed to where he was about to go on that journey. And now he has a $1 billion company behind himself as a 22-year-old. So want to cut us right there, right? And I want to move into the next segment. You were talking about women in the femininity. And I'm going to let you lead this part because I don't even know where you're coming from on this, and I don't want to mess the message up. So I want to let you speak freely on, you know, where you were at when you were thinking about that part.
Okay, I think, because this is what, a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I think I was focused on femininity in general. And I want people to realize that men and women both have masculine and feminine energy. And in order for you to be at your correct balance and for you to feel whole and in your truth in your life, they have to be at the balance. And I think a lot of times what happens is, particularly with men, is they kind of reject their feminine energy, which is what allows them to be soft and nurturing and, you know, empathetic to children and women and themselves.
Man, this is so fun because I'm giving you a grin because it takes me back to what's up, Dr. P and David Manning from the Mind Matters podcast show, right? We meet every week, or try to meet every week before our show. And I can remember about a month and a half ago, we were having this conversation, and it was about sexuality and all these different things. And so the conversation was being had, and I think it was David. It was like, men and women have feminine energy, you know, they both have it. I'm like, man, I ain't got no damn feminine energy, you know. But as he got to talking about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense, you know. It's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny.
The way you are with the kids and how you're operating in your purpose, especially in regards to mentorship, like you definitely kind of understand that.
Right.
Like that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Being able to be a man who is nurturing.
Yeah.
Like nurturing behavior is not just reserved for women
and
mothers.
And that's the thing. I think it was just in the moment, like I understand like being nurturing, right? And I think I was more or less disagreeing with the fact that me being a man, why I can't be nurturing? Why they gotta be feminine energy? You know what I'm saying? Why I can't be man energy? You know, but I get it and I understand. We had a whole deal about that.
From that
level, yeah.
But
it's
like
understanding the anatomy.
Working, doing, you know, like doing, creating, and taking action, that's all masculine energy.
Yeah.
So like somebody like me, I really struggle to balance my feminine energy. And it's because I'm a single mom and I've always been a worker, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get on y'all's job and I'm gonna blow your mind, and you're gonna be like, wow,
she's incredible,
But I didn't know how to receive.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about prayer manifestation, receiving from God is also a feminine position, and that's for all of us. So we have to be able to say, and that's why I said we're trying to do God's job. We're in the way because we're in a masculine energy instead of in a feminine energy that says, I trust you. I know you're going to take care of me. I'm going to lean back right here.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do. I ain't going to lie. But look, I'm going to be quiet because I was giving you the floor to talk about this. But it reminded me of that conversation. It was like I had to come to a realization, like, it's okay for it to be feminine energy. You know, it's because, anyway.
That's exactly right. And that's probably the same time frame that I was thinking on this because I can't remember what was going on. But I always feel like, unfortunately, especially in our community, we don't really see the value in women because it is associated with feminine energy. You know, we do live in a patriarchal society, and everybody's like, you know, and that's fine. But
how they like?
Yeah, like we are really valuable and intelligent.
Yeah.
And kind of the way I see it, and I read some scripture. I cannot remember exactly what it was. Y'all don't judge me once again. I don't go to church, but I do have a Bible and I read it.
Yeah.
There was a scripture that talked about boys being like trees. I think it was in Isaiah, but girls were like stones. So, of course, I saw it like, oh, okay, that makes sense. If the woman is the cornerstone, then they are like centers, right? And the trees should line the stones. So if we're a community of stones and trees, let us be in the center, and you guys surround us as the trees. And and be in a protective stance, looking outward. But what's happening in our community is all the trees are turned around and saying, you're not doing that right. You should do it like this. Oh, I don't like it when you do this. You need to court me. We've got to pop up in the parking lot to meet me before we go out because I got to see if I still like you or you look like. I mean, it's like, come on, like.
Send me a picture.
Send me a picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened to I seek a wife?
Yeah.
What happened to I am looking for a woman? You know, now it's like, y'all ain't about nothing. But where? How did we get here?
Yeah.
And if you are going to say it is because we're so independent, that happened by design and not by our own choosing. Right.
Over time. Yeah.
So it's like you know, once again, I'm a single mother. I didn't really want that, but the society we lived in didn't teach me what I was going to be looking for. Once again, my father died when I was young, so it wasn't like I had like a template or anything to look for because my dad did not want me to associate with men or boys. Oh no, he was like, no. Like I can remember my sister getting a whooping because somebody called the house for her.
Right.
And I was like,
yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
But then my sister also got pregnant at 15 because we didn't have the information. So it's like you got to teach girls.
Y'all stayed in Tomball. Y'all had no TV. That's what it was.
We had TV. We were watching the Wonder Years.
Right.
But also being from Tomball, the community was different. So like we didn't come from there, but they had a community of Black people in Tomball. But those people have been there for generations.
Wow.
So that's like a completely different. She wanted to fit in with them.
Right.
And I was like, I don't fit with these people because they were white, and I didn't fit with them. So I was just like, I'm gonna hang out with who hangs out with me.
Yeah.
But she's a different type of person, so you know she kind of went a different way. But I still feel like all the problems in our society come from not valuing women because women are really intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there are so many men, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, she's a man hater. I used to run a chapter of the Man Haters Club, but I don't anymore.
Cut with that.
I don't anymore. I'm not a man hater.
Yeah.
I think everybody has value, and I'll tell you all the story of Jehoshaphat just to kind of encompass the things so you can understand what I'm talking about. So initially, when I read the story of Jehoshaphat, also biblical, Kings and Chronicles, she was the daughter of the king of Judah, and she saved her nephew from being slain, and then the nephew brought forth the Davidic line, and Jesus came. But this whole time, I'm ignoring the fact that she did this work with her husband, right? So we have to work together in order to fulfill the purpose.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we've got to have each other. We've got to come to some form of common ground about.
Yeah. And we got to get back to understanding, too, like you were talking about women being a cornerstone. That's why you hear the she's my rock, you know, all of this. And I don't know what it's going to take to just make a change, but, you know, being subconsciously and consciously aware of these things is the first step, you know, and people wanting to do better. And I think that's a huge part of it. And everybody's at a different level in life and their understanding and their journey and stuff like that. But I like to pose another thing, and it's just so funny you're speaking on this stuff, but back to the Mind Matters and my crew. We were having a conversation, and it was about who's valued more, you know, and they were the conversation, and it comes from a certain area, but I'm going to just ask you the question, see what you have to say. If you took a 13-year-old young girl, 13-year-old young boy in school, both doing well, you know, both athletic, doing whatever, who do you feel like will be the most valued, you know, if they were looked upon in that way?
You know, honestly, I think it would depend on who was doing the looking.
Interesting.
I do, because I feel like boys have their value that society places on them for working, for, you know, getting out there and making money. Like, ooh, how can he grow into an asset, you know? And then girls, they're looking at you to see how pretty you are. You know, what's your etiquette like? Are you rough around the edges? Are you a tomboy? Or are you, you know? So it depends on, I think, who's doing the looking. Because, like, if you decide that being pretty and sweet is of higher value than being a money making asset. And of course, you're gonna be like, oh, I think this woman, we need to be looking at her and we need to be watching her and see how she grows. But like most girls don't get like the one to watch unless it's athletically.
Yeah.
Like if you're the valedictorian, they're like, that is so sweet for you. I'm so glad you're so smart. What you gonna do with that from the kitchen?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and yeah, we live in a different time where women are working, but like I think, honestly, I feel like we can use our skills too in our homes. Like I use my strategy in my house, just like I use it in business.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot. I mean, I think if we could start to see our homes again as really important, like, and this is probably going to offend some people, but like I watch white women on Instagram, the way they operate with their kids in the influencer space, and I'm like, they're just doing something completely different. And it's so weird because they're also teaching like, you know, really deep American values, which we know what happens. But we're not necessarily doing that. So what are we teaching in our house? How do our homes run? You know, because if our homes are running ineffectively, could that be why when we're growing up and coming out of the house, we're not going like this with our partners? You know, we're not looking for somebody to say, hey, would you like to collaborate with me on life and be my partner? I just feel like that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we all look at it from a different angle, and again, we have to be mindful about those things. That's the important part, being mindful and understanding that the way you operate now is going to look a certain way later down the line. You know, you have to be aware of that. But so, in closing, and unless you have more you want to speak on, okay.
I just want y'all to value women and see women as valuable also, because I think men are very valuable, and I know that we need each other, and just to know that like you actually do need a woman as a man. Like, that's it.
That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, it's been amazing. So, with your company and with your creativity and with your journey and with your transition from valuing us as men, what would you say to somebody who's looking and they're thinking about reaching out to you and your company? And I know, you know, we already kind of told them what they would get, but what message do you really want to push home in helping people understand why you're doing what you're doing with your company?
I want to tell people, because I think if you're like me and your relationship with God is kind of broken or you haven't had one, don't be afraid to try, you know, and I will teach you how to create your own relationship, you know, based on whatever you feel like you do, because I feel like that's what God really wants from us. It's for us just to be there. It doesn't have to be in the perfect box or container, but just have a relationship, because the love is there for you and it will help you to stop being addicted to what you're addicted to. It will stop you from hating yourself and from operating in mediocrity. Okay, because that is a huge thing. You know, we're operating in mediocrity. And unfortunately, what I feel like people do and they don't realize is like, everybody's like, yes, I'm a follower of Christ, I love God. But every day that you don't stop those negative thoughts from running in your head, you are serving the opposition.
Yeah.
That's what you don't realize.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that, you need to make sure that you're not being a worker of iniquity by accident.
Yes.
You know, and I know that's not necessarily what I'm giving you in my coaching program, but at the base of it, it really is a return to love, which is just your relationship with the divine. So
absolutely, man. That is good. And I'm looking at the title that we have up here, and it's reminding me, and you spoke on it so well, but just to go into a little bit more before we go, the camera confidence coach, because you kind of spoke about it, getting people to understand that their message is important and need to practice. But what else would you say about that part of it, and why you feel like you need to teach that or, you know, share that?
Well, I feel like I need to teach that because I can't be out here by myself talking about returning to love. I think there are people who feel like they have a message they got to download, they got to push, even if it's not exactly what I talk about. You want to share what has been given to you, but you're not confident because you're still dealing with those thoughts that stop you from getting in front of the camera or for believing that you have value and that your voice need to be heard.
Yeah.
So, I'm really just here to teach that so that other people can help other people.
Yeah.
I'm just a vessel for getting people to get to the place where they can say, okay, now I can go help somebody.
Yeah.
Because what does the scripture say? Physician, heal thyself. Everybody's out here, I'm about to go help these folks. But you have to do that work that I was talking about. You have to be love.
Yeah.
You have to, in order for you to really make an impact on this world the way that you're supposed to. So that's what I'm doing.
And something that reminds me of is like pouring from an empty cup. How can you pour into somebody if you feeling empty yourself? It's really a hard thing to do. And there's going to be times where you might feel empty and you're doing the work and you have a relapse or you're triggered, like you said, and that's another reason why you need to practice this and they need to come see you, because there's ways to get through that.
It is, and what I help you do is build a toolbox so that when the things come, you'll say, okay, well, I know I can use this. I know I can do this. I know how to say stop. That's not true. I'm going to do it anyway because somebody really needs me. Like, I was nervous to come here.
Yeah.
I was like, what if they laugh at me? What if they say I'm crazy?
Yeah.
But I have tools.
Yeah.
So I still show up.
Yeah.
So like people look at me and they're like, oh, she's so confident. I still go through the same imposter syndrome, having to deal with those negative thoughts. But I just have tools because I've been practicing.
Yeah.
And it's not super easy. It's just I do it.
Yeah. It becomes an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You can say it like that. Absolutely, man. But it's been amazing, and I appreciate you sharing this amazing story. Wouldn't imagine kicking off season 3 any other way and helping people because, again, it's about the reach, And so I know for a fact there's at least 2 people I've noticed from the comments that are paying attention. And of course, if you watch it later next week, next month, man, just make a comment. I'm sure you'll get the comments as well that come through the social media world that we're living in now. And so, so now it's time for you to do your shameless plug and plug your business and tell people how to reach you and all of that. And so that way they can hopefully reach out to you.
Okay. Yes. Excuse me. Now my throat is. Okay. So I am the Divine Igniter, which means I ignite your divine flame and help you to shine brightly here on earth. At the Divine Igniter on Instagram, Twitter, at MS Divine Igniter on Twitter. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be posting there because I have a new show coming out called WTF America, the podcast.
Okay.
Probably be running a lot of that on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then on YouTube, it is Creative AF Divine Flow Video. I'll get up in the morning and I will read cards on the energy for the day. Haven't been there in a couple of weeks, probably a week. But y'all understand. I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then on TikTok, I'm so excited. I just hit over 1,000 at Creative AF Consulting. I can go live now.
Okay.
That's like the thing that I set for in December. But I want to go live on TikTok because I want to be able to utilize all the platforms.
Gotcha.
So yes.
And you are a person who understands the platform. That's another thing. Yeah. And
so that's what I was about to say. Now, the stuff is not listed here for this, but if you want to get branded or you want to talk about content marketing strategy for your business, Muse, muze.mktg.mgmt on Instagram. So the Muse is doing marketing and SHEBA is doing consulting with Creative AF. Yes, I have several personalities and they all have their own names.
That is what's up. And they all operate differently, and that's a big thing about it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I have to separate the masculine energy, which is my creative work, my brand strategy, and my marketing from my healing work, which is my feminine energy. Yeah. So it's like, I want to still be able to do it because, like I told you, when that download came, everything was like plop, and I'm like, how do you decipher? It's all different. Yeah. But it works when I'm able to separate it, but it moves together too.
And for people who are tempted to go to your website, what can they look forward to finding there?
Okay, on my website, you can just download whatever services I offer. I actually just created a little basic landing page. It has one side for Muse, one side for Creative AF. You just click the button and you can download my services on a little graphic that I made for you.
That is amazing. And we thank you. I'm going to say thank you for everybody that's watching who can't say it. And it's been amazing, man. You've actually helped me this morning, little do you know. But before we go and before we close out, is there any last words, any last message, anything you like to comment on, or you just like to finalize our show?
Just love yourself, and if you don't know how, ask for help.
That's right. That's right. And love is important. And if we, as she was speaking earlier, if we understand men and women, even if it's not a romantic relationship, if we can just understand each other and come together in a way that we are loving and we're creative, and we understand that our impact that we have together is going to impact so many more people, things can get a lot better. But listen, man, if you're somebody who's struggled with loving yourself, if you've struggled with loving God, having a relationship with God, going through a lot of things that you're not understanding why you're going through it, how could the world, how could God let you go through this? This is your prime example of a person that you want to get with, Miss SHEBA, Creative AF, and just go to the website you see right there on the screen. And are you offering the ability to just have people talk to you about things they're going through?
Absolutely. You can book a session. You just on both sides. If you want to book a brand strategy session, you can do that. If you want to book a consulting session, you can do that, and we'll just talk. I had one yesterday that was really good. Of course, people were crying.
Yeah.
Because you're going to cry because I'm going to talk about the things that you think you're hiding. You can't hide.
You see right through it, huh?
Yeah, because I can feel it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the emotions, when I feel it, I'm like, oh, that's this.
Yeah.
Because I'll see where I was trying to.
You've done the work.
Yeah. So I'm like, I know what you're experiencing, but I don't judge you.
Yeah.
Because I understand. I've been through it. And that's when I say I went through all of that so that I could understand and help others. It wasn't so I could be abused, and so I could be
helpful. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it has definitely been an amazing show. And again, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are. We appreciate you for even having the ability and the withal to go through the process and still be here standing, being able to talk about it and not be emotional, because, that part is important. I like the way you translated that. But, if you ever have those moments, I'm going to say just refer back to your toolbox. You already know. And that's the same message that we are giving to you guys. And if you don't have the tools, again, start somewhere. Like, even if you don't book her or contact her, start with somebody. But who else better than Miss SHEBA? And we have a comment up, so I'll see what the comment is saying. And hey, Mama, this is my mom, Miss Andrews. Hey, baby, how you doing? She says, this was absolutely enlightening. I got a lot of takeaways, as always. And I absolutely can pinpoint a few. So I appreciate you for watching, and thank you for being part of this show. And this is like my second mama right here. I love this lady. But thanks for watching the show. And Ms. SHEBA, thank you for being here today. Thank you for kicking off season 3 with me. And we're going to have you back here sometime really soon. And definitely part of our mental health show. That's your lane right there, mental health and wellness. So thanks for being here. And this has been the Reach Podcast Show with your host, LeVar Ellis, and our co-host, I'm going to call her co-host today, Miss SHEBA. And again, creativeaf.com. Go and check her out. And just let her know you saw her from the show, if you're somebody that's reaching out from the show, so she'll understand where she's getting her traffic flow from. So again, we appreciate you guys. Have a great week. What's a well wish you have for everybody watching?
You're a bright star, so shine your light. Oh, and this is one thing that I wanted to say. When we're talking about humility, it's definitely important to be humble, but you have to shine. Just remember where the gifts came from. Like I said.
Man.
So shine your light. That's what they gave it to you for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys have a great weekend. It's Thursday, so we're going to already call it the weekend. You guys have a great weekend. And then lastly, as you remember, and put it back up here on the screen again, come to Brown Sugar Cafe and Books, and come and take a look at all the things we got going on. This is where we are and where we want you guys to come and participate in the things that we have going on. And then lastly, we have an amazing art show this weekend. So on Saturday from 10:30 to 3, come be part of our ice cream market and also our art market, which is pertaining to mental health and wellness as well. And like SHEBA said earlier, your art is you, and it speaks. You don't even have to say anything sometimes. So just put it in your art, and you'll be able to understand what we're speaking on right there. And so we want you guys to be part of that. If you can make it out 10 to 3, and then also we have a couple other things that will be going on that day with our author, Mr. Michael Black, and his story, another great story that we'll be sharing here. So again, it's the Reach Podcast Show. The kickoff of season 3 has come to an end. Episode number 1 with Ms. SHEBA. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Y'all know y'all can catch us every week on Thursday from 10:30 to noon. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a great, great, great weekend.